Hi everybody, welcome back to the shop and welcome to another live stream here at EP3D Studios. I'm your host Matthew, and in front of me behind you is, well, no one for a second, my producer wife Emily. She took her kiddo to a birthday party. They're on their way home now. It ran a little late, but they'll be home in 5 or so minutes. So I'm getting the show started solo, so I apologize for my lack of understanding the editing stuff. She's gotten so much better at that than I ever was, so she's the pro, I'm not. But we'll spend our first few minutes here letting some folks pile in. I saw that we had quite a few people waiting just a minute ago, so what's going on here? Oh, Baron, hey, what's going on, Baron? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. George, hi from Portugal. Hello, George from Portugal. Thank you for coming by. We appreciate it. I know it's kind of late there, so super excited to have you. Feliciide, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hola, hello, thank you for joining. We're just gonna let some folks pile in before we get too close into it. Oh, there's Mrs. EP3D. I hope you're not texting and driving. No, she's got Google Smart. She could just talk to her car and it does things for her. Her car is smart. So hi, Mrs. EP3D. Thank you for joining the stream. Hopefully you'll be home soon, because this has already started as a total wrecking ball. What's going on, Ray? Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Jose Manuel, I can't pronounce that. Jose, hello everyone from Spain. Hey, from Spain. Thank you for joining us. A lot of you folks are very far ahead of time than us. I wish we can get this started earlier, but it's just not in our schedule, sadly. So Baron says hello to Emily. Yep, hello. As people pile in here, she'll be home in any second now before we get too far into this. But as you saw by the thumbnail, and I alluded to this in our Discord, that today's feature presentation is a getting started guide for Orca Slicer. So I know many of you have moved on to Orca Slicer from either Prusa or Ultimaker or whatever slicer you use. It's becoming extremely popular, and for good reason. It's a great slicer. I was pretty dead set on Idea Maker, and I still like Idea Maker, but Orca Slicer is next level. It's really good. It's got great calibration features. It's overall a great slicer. And I really enjoy it, but people want to learn how to use it because switching slicers is always kind of a headache, especially if you've got all your presets and profiles and stuff like that. It's hard to transfer all those things over. So we're going to go through some of that stuff. Ricardo, hey Ricardo, we're doing great today. It's been a little bit of a crazy Monday, so if you didn't hear, the producer wife, they're on their way home. She took the kiddo to a birthday party, one of her friend's birthday parties, so they'll be home in, I don't know, 5 or so minutes. So what's up, Drew, Graham? Good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. We're waiting for the producer wife to really get going here. But as I was saying, I forgot my water. I'll ask her for water when she hops in the door. You're going to hear her come in like a wrecking ball. Actually, you'll probably hear the garage door. We're sitting right at our studio here is a kind of a loft area upstairs, and the garage is directly underneath us. So you're going to hear the garage door here in a second. A fancy icon. Yes, Drew, I made her that icon, I don't know, probably a year ago, and we're just finally using it. So it's to match the channel's icon, so everyone knows who she is. So, but there are some things we're going to get to in Orca Slicer, and also we're hoping to open the board up here to questions. What do you guys want to know about Orca Slicer that I maybe have figured out, or we could figure out together as we go today? It's not all that complicated. There are a few quirks about it that we're going to cover, especially with adding new printers and new filament presets. It's kind of strange, and I've spent the last few days experimenting as much as I can, and I've saved what presets that I had, and I've completely uninstalled Orca Slicer. So I'm going to start from scratch and show you what that process is like. So, and if you're a Windows user, Windows doesn't like it because it's not verified by Windows because it comes off of GitHub, because it's a fork of Bamboo, which is a fork of Orca Slicer. So I'll show you how to install it. Windows thinks it's a virus. It's not a virus, I promise you, and I will show you that here. Hey, Christian, how's it going? Thank you for stopping by. Wow, we got 14 people already. Man, we're doing good. I love this. This is amazing. So I guess while we wait, I guess I could show you this. Actually, no, I don't want you guys to. The start of this is a hassle. Let's see. Drew says, do you know if there's any way to allow older printers to allow the G2, G3 G code? That I don't know, but we could look into that. What is the G2, G3 G code? Let's look at that. Let's look that up. G2, GCO, G code. What is that? ARC. Oh, yes. Yes. With Marlin 2.0, ARC support is enabled. It supports ARCs. You just have to enable it in your Marlin firmware if you're running Marlin. And if you have Clipper, you have to have that in your config. So I don't actually think I have ARCs enabled in this. It might be in the config, but not enabled. I don't know, but it's there. So it should work on older machines if you have Marlin 2.0 and above, which it's not. You could put Marlin 2 on any Marlin supported printer. So even if you have an 8-bit board, old Ender 3, it can take Marlin 2. So let's see, 5 minutes away, she says. Drew, that would be a big one for me. Yep. I don't know what other printers you have running Marlin still, but you need to fix that, Drew. Gilbert, hey Gilbert, thank you for joining us. Hi Matt and Emily, hope you are both doing wonderful. We are doing well. A little bit of a hectic day. She'll be here any minute now. They're boogieing from a birthday party. So Drew, really it could be that easy in Clipper, or yes, it's that easy in Clipper. It's just that easy. So some slicers may not do ARC. I don't know, but Orca Slicer does. It's great. Let's see, Ray. One odd thing is when I use Orca, I get slight stringing, but not when using Prusa. That is odd. I've noticed that too. My prints have become a little bit stringier, and I think it could be the way it handles retractions. I know you could enable firmware retraction if you wanted to go that route. I've not done that, but another thing is that if you're using different filaments like TPU and PETG, you're going to have different retraction levels than your PLAs, and the retraction is baked into your printer profile, and then you have extra settings in your filament profiles that will supersede that. And so it's just tuning and the way the slicer handles it. So the little bit of stringing that I've noticed in my prints, I chalk off to my filament needs to be dried, and yeah. And I noticed before, I did have my retraction a little bit low in this compared to my Idea Maker profile. So that could be it too. Yep. Greetings. Let's see, Drew says, Aaron, Arcane is to do with wall infill. Yeah, Arc is different. Yep. So Arcane is something that Prusa, yeah, I think Prusa was the first ones to really implement it, and then either Prusa or Ultimaker, but they both do it, and then obviously that's been pushed into Orca Slicer here. So Ray Burke. So Drew says, at Ray, I had that issue way back, and lowering the fan speed a bit helped a lot. Oh, okay. That works. I know there's a retraction calibration tower that you could do directly out of Orca. It works, but it is short. Like, it's kind of hard to see where the changes happen. I wish they would make it taller. I don't mind waiting a few extra minutes for a calibration print to finish, as long as it's more helpful. And of all the things Orca does great, I don't think their retraction calibration is very good, because you could do 10 different settings and it makes it 5 millimeters tall. It's almost impossible to see where the sweet spot is. So let's see, Andrew Poe. Hey, welcome Andrew. Thank you for joining. If you get to it, it would be nice to get your thoughts on the calibration prints in Orca. In previous live streams, you said input shaper, flow, pressure advance, rotation distance. Yes. So some of the calibration things, I have some Excel files that I've set up with some calibration stuff like flow, rotation distance. It's slightly different than steps per millimeter. I mean, it's the same concept, but the way Clipper handles it is different than how Marlin handles it. And I have 2 different calibration things that I'm gonna have to figure out how to set up on my website or put on GitHub or something like that, so people can come and use it, because I've spent some time working on those and they work great for me. So, and you can even put in, Clipper has a deal for gear ratio for your rotation distance if you want to use that. I use it just because there is technically a gear ratio with the 3-to-1 thing. So, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference, no, but you could add that in there if you wanted to. So, at Drew Graham, I didn't know, oh, see, Baron Gorg says, at Drew Graham, I didn't know that. Thank you for setting me straight. What did Drew say? Oh, the Archine thing, yes. Ha, I'm here. So, Mrs. EP3G, if you're listening, I didn't bring my water up. Can you bring me some water when you come in the door? Thank you. But I guess while we're waiting for her to show up, we could actually go through the install process here or get started on that. So I'm going to switch over to computer view, minimize that, and go here. Yeah. And then we'll start this. So from here, I can't see what's going on. And our monitor that we use to show different camera views, the HDMI cord won't reach. I need to get a longer cord for that, for when I do this solo, which is a rare occasion, but whatever. So I got to go to, I believe that is camera 3. And then there's a picture-in-picture button on. I think that's correct. So, yeah, let's roll with it here. So, Orca Slicer is on GitHub. All you gotta do is Google it, but I've left, oh, there they are. I can hear the garage door. So we'll wait. We'll go back, we'll wait. Yeah, we'll wait here. Because they're home. So it'll be just a minute. Sorry everybody for the start. It's it happens. No big deal. We keep it light around here. So, and our kid is home today, so we're going to be able to go a little longer if we need to. Actually, I was going to ask about that. The last few streams we've gone almost 2 hours, if not right at 2 hours, and it seems like people like it. So, if you all want us to continue with longer streams, we can do that. Absolutely, we're happy to do that. If it's more helpful for you, and if you guys are willing to hang out and watch, we're willing to do a 2-hour stream as opposed to an hour. I know. We're getting to the point where we always have plenty of information to give you in 2 hours, so it's typically not an issue. So our issue mainly is not having enough time to finish what we want to do. I feel rushed sometimes. So the producer wife, Emily, she's very good at helping me slow down and not rush so much. So no, she says, thank you, producer wife. Drew at Baron. Matt was right. Prusa was the first one to do Arcane. I'm 50-50 on if it's beneficial or not. Yeah. So I used Prusa a long time ago. Didn't care for it, mainly because it didn't play well with my Sidewinder X1. I never use it on any of my newer machines, but it started out on Ultimaker, and Cura was good at like version, oh, was that 4.6, 4.7, 4.8 was like, in my opinion, the sweet spot for Cura. And that was before they implemented the Archine or Arcane wall generation. And I switched over to Idea Maker. And I don't know if Idea Maker has that in it yet. I know I never really saw any difference in the print quality on what I do. So and if you're doing like small figurine kind of stuff, high detail stuff, maybe. But most of what I print are functional parts. So I really don't do much non-functional decorative things. I really like the functional side of 3D printing, making parts that serve a purpose other than sitting on a shelf, other than boats. I print lots of boats. And I apologize for the music. The kid has a toy. Is that your teacup toy, kiddo? Sounds like it. So, Baron asks, would like to stay, but I have to step away to feed Dad like last week. Came back just in time for the end. Okay. Nope, we'll see you when you show up, Baron. No problem. Take care of your business. Hey, kiddo. Do you want to be internet famous again? All right. We're just getting started here, but this is she's the director. She's in charge. Rich, hey, Rich, welcome. Howdy. All been busy afternoon. Did I miss anything good? Nope, you've not missed anything. These two are actually coming home a little bit late. They went to a birthday party, so we haven't really gotten started, so you've missed nothing. Oh, come on, those likes. Yes, 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 yes. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you've not been here before. Yes. And let's fuel that algorithm. Yeah. So I could hear her getting my water, and as soon as she comes up, we'll get you all started. We'll get started here. Oh, careful, kiddo. Your computer's there if you want to start it up and get. You wanted to watch. My savior. This has been 16 minutes of
struggle bus.
Big time. I don't know if you saw. Somebody masquerading as my producer wife was on here chatting though. Imposters. You're fine. We're doing fine. Yeah, the struggle bus. Okay.
I want my switcher back.
You want your switcher back? Okay, let me switch the screen. We're going to computer view here. Let's go back to here. 3
And after you demanded
auto.
water, now she's demanding water.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you.
Oof.
Oof. Don't press the...
All the buttons?
Mm-hmm. You almost pressed the off button.
Oh, bad. Everything's still on?
I think so. I can still see us
Everything's on.
going here, so...
I'm going to get her ice cold water. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll start showing... I don't know what's going on here. I think we got a picture-in-picture of a picture-in-picture of the screen. Sorry, everyone. Oh, boy. Fun times. Okay, so, Orca Slicer. Orca Slicer, it's on GitHub. Finding the download link can be kind of confusing. GitHub's kind of confusing. I actually am going to start migrating a lot of my stuff to GitHub. I'm figuring out how to use it. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye, that's for sure. So we might have a cat. Don't press the switch on the. Whew, the cat almost pressed the off switch on our power strip down there for everything. That would have been bad. We're getting there, everyone. Yeah, Orca Slicer. It's on. Are we on? Yes, we are on the Orca Slicer page. So I left a link in the video description, like I said, but this is the main Orca Slicer repository. And if you go over here to releases, it'll be the most up-to-date one, version 1.9.1. We'll go ahead and install this. I installed it yesterday before, and I've had some issues with it crashing every once in a while. Hopefully that's been a fluke. So we'll try it again. But if you click on your official release, it gives you some changes and stuff like that, what's been changed. You scroll down and here are your assets, your install files. For me, I'm a Windows user, so we're gonna do Orca Slicer Windows. Actually, I've already got it downloaded. It's just sitting on my desktop here. So we will install it and I'll show you that weirdness with it, with the install. Yes, I agree. Yep, next, install. Oh, it's not mad about it. Last time I did this, it came up with a thing, unverified software. All you do is you'll click on more info and hit install anyway. I promise you it's not a virus. Even though Windows complains about it. Windows is silly. So, but installation, that's quick and easy. No problem. Finish. Oh, she's here, my savior. I didn't mean to rush you home, I'm sorry.
Don't worry, everybody, I'm here. For anybody I missed saying hi to while I was not texting and driving, hi.
don't admit to.
I didn't say anything. I said, well, I was not texting and driving.
Okay, I was gonna say don't admit to felonious activities on stream.
I didn't admit to anything other than.
Other way. Just break the screen off. You know, you could flip that in. I have the eyepiece out.
Whatever.
Please. Otherwise, I'm gonna stare at it. And it's
You
gonna
stare at it anyway.
I do.
Okay.
That's better. Oh, hey, sweetie.
All right.
Cat here.
So, Miss Ethereal Project 3D says no, you can't have water.
Thank you, Miss Ethereal Project 3D.
I don't know where you left off because there was a delay. Our internet doesn't make it all the way out there, so.
I have no idea. Actually, let me close that page because it may only like having one YouTube page open at a time. There. So I got it closed now.
And Drew's laughing about me telling you no, you can't have water.
Okay, perfect.
Did you read that one?
I think I did.
Oh, there's Mr. Muffins.
Oh.
Drew says it does help with speed/print time reduction.
Oh, the Archine thing?
And Baron just has to step away.
Yep, I read that.
So it's just like last time.
Ooh,
Might make it
Bagheera.
back just in time for the end.
All right. Who's playing with the cable here? Is it Bagheera or is it Sweetie?
Be Bagheera.
We're having cat invasion, if you can tell. Hey, buddy.
let's see.
Hi, buddy. Yeah, you can
Baron
you can
says,
sit there.
oh. Let's see. Damien says, come on, those likes. Thank you so much, Damien. Baron says, never could get into Idea Maker. Yay, baby Ethereal Project is in the house.
Right. Yeah, ID Maker is one of those things that you either love it or you hate it. There's really no in between with it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I always had good quality prints with it, and it was always very good for me.
Baron says, just George, stalling till the real brains of the outfit arrive.
Pretty much, yeah.
For sure by that he means the cat.
Yeah.
See? We've got the real brains helping him out over here.
Hey, buddy.
CBK Custom says, good morning from the Philippines. Do your X2 have horizontal layers on the outer wall? And how do you fix that?
I haven't really had that issue with the X2. My X1 did it quite a bit, and I think a lot of it has to do with a combination of flow, having all your moving components run smooth. If you have any sort of binding in your Z-axis, that can cause it. If your build plate doesn't have a stable temperature, that will definitely cause it. So you'll have expansion and contraction. And one of these days I want to do a video and show exactly how much that could affect it with like a dial indicator and stuff like that. Maybe I'll have to find a metric dial indicator just so you non-Imperial unit folks don't scream and yell at me for using an SAE dial indicator.
And let's see. Got a couple hellos. I got, hey Ray, hey Rich, and hey Ricardo. Doing good. Little manic today. I know he said he's had a manic day, but I went to a birthday party for 4-year-olds at a bounce house. So that was not manic at all.
Disastrous, honestly.
And hopefully I'm not sniffling in all your ears today. Today is a sniffly day.
Mm-hmm.
CBK Custom says to Bear and George. Okay.
Oh.
And Drew says no freedom units for the dial indicator.
No freedom units for the dial. Okay. We'll have to find a metric one. Write that down. Find metric dial indicator. Amazon probably has some cheap ones.
No.
I don't need anything expensive for that. So. Okay. Are we back on screen view? It looks like we are. No? Okay. So we've installed Orca Slicer, hopefully. So we're going to open that up, and we're going to get it set up for ourselves here. Based on Bamboo Studio and Orca Slicer. Hello. And it crashes. Oh, there we go. I was going to say, if it crashes immediately, I'm going to an older version. All right. So you get your Get Started guide here. Go ahead and click Get Started. Pick your region. For us, it's North America. And then it's going to ask you to add a printer. to start out with. So for us, I'm just going to pick any old printer like the old Sidewinder X2 here. I don't know if you have to or not, actually. Let's not. Let's see if it lets us do it without adding a printer. Nope, nope, it makes us add a printer. Okay. Next, filament selection. Sure. Bamboo network plugin. Okay, so this is an important one here. Even if you're not running a Bamboo printer, you want to install the network plugin. Otherwise, you cannot communicate with your printer to the web interface from the slicer. You won't be able to upload directly to your printer. No matter what it is, you have to have this for that to work. So install Bamboo network plugin. Finish. Also, if you have multiple machines, you could set up your user account, and then you could sync all your filament and printer profiles from machine to machine. So we have a Bamboo machine at work that I work with. That I've spent a lot of time developing profiles for different filaments. So I'd like to be able to sync that between work and all that stuff. So
Drew says just add a custom clipper one.
Yeah, I could have done that, I guess, but no big deal. I'm going to show you some funkiness. Okay, yep, we're there. Cool. So I'm going to log in here, accept cookies, email address. And then my password. I agree.
Oh, George has got to go. Says I need to go, but tomorrow morning I will enjoy the video.
All right, George. Thank you for stopping by. Sorry you got to go so soon. Good to have you, though. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming by. Mm-hmm. Thank you for putting up with the before I showed up weirdness. By the way, you all, I gave him an option. I was like, do you want to just start a couple minutes late or not? So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I figure we'll get the party started on time. So they could just watch the real struggle bus. Oh, man. Okay. Let's see. Do you want to synchronize your personal data from Bamboo Cloud? It contains the following information: presets, process presets, filament presets, and printer presets. For now, I'm going to say no because I don't want to sync what I already have in the cloud. I want to show you from a scratch process here. So I'm going to maximize that. First things first, let's get our settings figured out. We're going to go to the little arrow here, preferences. First thing, dark mode. Ah, that's so much better on the eyes. Other things, I like zoom to mouse position. So I like to enable that. And then,
what does that do?
So when you're in the 3D view, wherever you have your mouse and you zoom in, if you zoom in on the side, it will zoom into that spot instead of zoom in on the center. So it makes it work more like a CAD setup. So let's see. So there's your auto sync for presets. So you could turn that off or on however you see fit. I'm gonna leave it off for now so I don't sync what I've already created on the cloud. Change your units and all that kind of stuff. So anything else I want to associate, step and STL files and 3MF files. Sure, actually no. Yeah, that'll be fine. Enable dark mode. Downloads folder, you can change where it downloads things. Cool. And yeah, there we are. So we're going to click on the top left here, prepare, and it will bring up our one printer that we've added. So I don't want to use this printer preset. You can start with a system preset, and then if you make any changes, say we go and edit the preset here. So this on the little square with the line through it, that's how you edit this preset. It will come up with this menu. First things first, you want to enable advanced mode. Otherwise, you really can't do much with it, and it's not as scary as you think it would be. It just gives you more options, and it's the options you need. So say, okay, I want to set this machine up for Clipper because I run Clipper. So I just, over here under Advanced, G-code flavor, change it to Clipper, and we're just going to save it.
What flavor is Clipper?
Crispy, crunchy? No. You can give it a new name. We'll just call it Clipper. If I could type.
DC says, hi, thanks for doing this. I needed it.
You're welcome, DC.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping in.
All right. And then I'm going to close that. And so now it puts it under a user preset. So you could leave it this way and just have the system preset chilling there. You can still go through and disable the system preset, but if you do that, you won't be able to add filaments and processes connected to the preset. And I'll show you. So you have all our generic artillery stuff that it adds for you because it's an artillery printer. If I go in here and I say, hey, I don't want to see this on my system presets anymore because I'm not going to use a Marlin artillery printer. Confirm. Confirm. Oh yeah, close. Oh, see, it won't even let me take it off until I add another printer, I think. So we'll just add a basic clipper. Done. Okay, come back in here. Oh. See if it lets me take this off now. Yeah, there we go. So we go to our kind of derived user preset here, and since it is derived from the built-in preset, it has to have it. And oh, it did keep them. Last time I tried this, it didn't keep them. So let's quickly try to add a filament. Let's see if this doesn't do what I try to do. Do eSun, PLA, we'll just say white.
Oh, you have, oh yeah, finally contacted you, yeah?
Yeah, I finally got in contact with All Yeah Filaments, and they're sending me a sample to play with. So maybe next week, that'll be next week's stream. Test printing with the sample and setting up a filament profile and tuning it and stuff like that.
Finally, a will it print.
Yeah.
I've been suggesting for almost a year now that we do a will it print series. Just buy some obscure filament and just try to make it print. And the more weird and crazy, the better.
Right. We do need to do that. You're right. All right. So let's see. All right. So if I say filament preset create based on current filament, well, it doesn't have one attached to this because we've removed the system preset for this printer. And what we're trying to add to is a printer preset that is a derivative of a system preset. So go down here, copy current filament preset, yes, and then it doesn't give us our printer that we want in this list.
Ray says cool, awesome, but oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So, which is a problem. So the only way I can add this is if I add it to my fake clipper printer that we added. But then it won't show up on the list for this machine. Like, so let's go ahead and create. Yep, done.
Oh, Adam popped in, says hi.
What's up? Let's see, you have not selected a printer preset yet. Oh, my generic, okay, create. Filament created, okay. It's not here, right? If we go to this, it shows up. So it forced it to put it on a already made system preset. We don't want that. So what we have to do is we have to create our, we're going to delete that. We're going to create our printer from scratch. It's the best way to do things. We're going to go back to here. We're going to delete this machine. Yes.
Drew says, Matt, can you add that filament to the X2?
That's what I'm showing you how to do. I know. So if you add, we're going to do it, right? If you add the printer, I was showing you, I'm sorry, if you add the printer from the list and if its default settings for the Artillery X2 in the slicer is Marlin. So you have to go through and you have to change the type of, the firmware type to Clipper. When you do that, you have to save it as a user preset. So you have a second printer preset.
Oh, wait, I read it wrong. Oh, sorry, Drew. I'm good at doing that when you type stuff. I'm really sorry. You can add that filament to the X2.
Yes, you can, but there's a way to do it, and I had to figure out that process.
Well, he was letting you know that you could. I read it wrong. That's my fault.
Right.
So I read it wrong, and you got all like snappy sassy on us.
Sorry. So you can, as long as the system preset stays on your list. I don't want the system preset for the Artillery X2 on the list because I will never use it. So it's just going to clutter up my list of printers. And I have a few printers that I use, so I don't want that cluttered up. So I will show us how to make a printer from scratch that will work properly. And we can still use the derived settings from the X2. We're just going to do it in a different way that works better. So we're going to go to Create Printer. All right. Create Printer, select Vendor, Artillery. The X2 is not on here for some reason, so I'm going to say can't find my printer model. We're going to call it the Artillery. The Artillery, and it's going to be the Sidewinder X2. Did I hit caps lock? I did. What? Sidewinder X2.
It's so hard to type when people are watching you type.
It is so hard to type, right? And I'm just going to call it Clipper, right? If you give it the same name as the system preset, it'll get mad at you. You have to give it a different name. We're going to give it some printable space, 300. For the, you could give it a look for the bed, and you can go through and find what Orca Slicer uses for the artillery stuff in the install files. I kind of saved those because I changed them a little bit. So I put them.
CBK Custom says, gotta go with your project. Still want to watch, but need to go to school.
Oh,
Thank you for
sorry
coming
about
by
that.
while you could. We appreciate it.
For sure, we do appreciate it.
Also, Adam says, I need eSun PETG settings. I have stringing, and after printing, filament runs out of the nozzle.
I do have some eSun PETG I could do some testing with. I've not been a big fan of the eSun PETG. It's always been very stringy and it's just notoriously difficult. The best PETG I've really messed with has been the Hatchbox, and I got a couple spools of the Atomic PETG, and that's been really good too, but it's a little bit more pricey as far as your typical more affordable PETGs. Hatchbox has been the best that I've used. So I'm going to give this, I've saved this, this is directly from within Orca Slicer. I just saved it in a different file.
Richard says, will you be uploading your presets when you are finished?
Yes, they actually already have them in the video description for the basic printer preset. I've already got it in there.
Ben says, P.S. You're the best source of information for this machine ever.
Oh, thank you. I try. I've made this for my build plate, a custom one. Max print height, 400. Okay. Now we could derive it from a printer preset. So we're going to derive it from the X2, and then we're going to create based on current printer for our filament presets. And I'm going to select a PLA, PETG, and TPU. I don't ever plan on printing ABS, ASA, or PLA carbon fiber with this machine. And I'm just going to select the default process template for it and click on Create. Printer created. Please go to Printer Settings to edit your presets. Printer Settings. All right. So here we are. So now what it's done is it has actually pulled from the Artillery X2 preset that's in there, some of the information, right? Like, where does it have it? Our extruder clearances and stuff like that. So you can use the built-in preset as a start. You just have to go about it this way. So you could actually add your filament profiles and stuff like that to here without having to have the preset that you're not going to use on a list. Yeah. Sorry if I'm rambling. This is I'm not good at these. I'm not good at teaching these things, but I try. So we're going to change the G-code flavor to Clipper. We're going to change our thumbnails. We're going to add 92x92 comma space. So that way we get our small thumbnails and large thumbnails on Clipper screen. If you use Clipper screen with like a Pad 7 or HDMI screen or whatever. Machine G-code, we don't want to use what Marlin uses. So we are going to delete all of this, and I have it saved in a text file, and that is also in the video description.
So while you're doing that, I think it's Shuni, if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize, says, I've only used Cura. I've been trying to learn Prusa. Heard about Orca, though. Thought I'd try it. Is it more, less, or same user-friendly than Prusa?
It is 100,000% more user-friendly than Prusa. One of the main reasons I didn't use Prusa, other than it not cooperating with one of my machines, is that the user interface was god-awful for me. I did not like it. For me, I mean, Cura was okay. I just didn't like the drop-down, like the scrolling through all the drop-downs. It was kind of annoying. I really liked Idea Maker because it was kind of tabbed-based, but it didn't overload you with information. So Orca Slicer is also tab-based, but there's just so much there and it overloads you, and I didn't really care for that. And Idea Maker is seemingly just as capable, but it wasn't an information overload. It was a cleaner interface. It was nicer to use.
So Drew and Baron kind of responded. Drew says, Orca's a fork from Prusa and has a lot more. I still like Prusa, but I really like Orca Slicer. Baron says, since it's a fork of Prusa, lots of the settings are called the same thing, and in the same spots. I find Orca pretty friendly. Yeah,
Orca's much more friendly. They've organized the structure a little bit to make it easier to use. So we're going to change our machine start G code to what I had copied. I want that to be on the same line. What?
So just making sure it's Scoony. It's like school, but the SCH is a K sound, right? Let me know if I got that wrong.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, and then our NG code, and I think it's just print end. Yeah, that's that multi-material stuff. Single extruder multi-material, and then you have a manual filament change here. I'm going to go ahead and leave that unchecked. You could experiment with this at your leisure. But I don't think you need to have this checked if you have your macro set right for your filament change. But this kind of adds, from what I could gather, this kind of adds its own special sauce for doing manual filament changes. I don't really do that on this machine. I'm going to leave this unchecked. So you could just leave all this. Extruder gives you your extruder information, nozzle diameter 0.4, all this kind of fun stuff. Just leave all this. This is defaults for the machine's mechanical nature. Big one here, motion ability. This is where you're going to change your actual speed limits of the machine. So since we are running Clipper and we've dialed in our input shaper, we could run it much faster and with more accelerations. If you've put Clipper on your X2 but you have not tuned your input shaping, I highly recommend sticking with stock speeds. Otherwise, it's not going to go well for you. What's funny?
Oh, Scoony, you're going to get along just fine with us. It's all good. So Rich agrees and says that Orca's based on Prusa. I think it's nicer, though there are some things in Prusa that haven't made it into Orca. He likes it, though.
Yeah.
And Scoony says, thank you, perfect. And says, great, because Prusa's kicking my butt, but I'm as old as can be.
Yeah.
And by the way, sorry, you'll find I edit your responses to be more family friendly. So
that's fine.
If it doesn't come out exactly as you wrote it, I apologize. Just reading out over air, figure I'll
that works.
Make it PG-13.
PG 12.5?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Okay, so we're going to change our speed limits here. I'm going to do X 300 millimeters, Y 300, Z 12 is horribly slow. Let's change it to 40. 120 is fine for our E. Our maximum accelerations, I'm going to do 3,000. Actually, no, we'll go 5,000, sorry. 1,000 for Z is fine, 5,000 for E is fine. Now here's a big one. A lot of times you'll see printers and this setting here, maximum acceleration for extruding, this will be lower than what the maximum X and Y acceleration is. And the reason why is that you could have your movement speed and acceleration be faster, right? Because it's not trying to extrude material and it won't affect your quality that much. But while it's extruding, that is like while it's actively printing, this sets a limit for your acceleration for that. I like to make this my maximum. Some of the presets have like, oh, your maximum acceleration is 2K, but our extrusion maximum is like 500. And then you'll see in your web interface, acceleration 500. Like, why isn't it as fast as I told it to be? It's because of this setting, and it's kind of hidden away because it's not in the filament preset where you set your accelerations and speeds according to that filament. So we're going to set this to what our X and Y max is of 5,000, and then the same for retracting.
I think you forgot a 0.
I did. Foot in mouth. 5,000. All right. Jerk limitations. We're not running Marlin, so we don't have to worry about jerk. That is handled completely different in Clipper and much better in my opinion. And then that is it, I believe. Oh, basic information. Support multi-bed types. They've added this, and I want to do that because my bed temperature for a textured surface is going to be a little different than a smooth surface for some materials, and you could do that now. Hi, buddy. How are you?
Oh, right at the end as he walks by.
I know.
Darn.
I know. Now it's just butt and tail. Hey, buddy. So, nozzle type, change that to brass. Doesn't really matter, does it? But I just like to be accurate. If you have an auxiliary part cooling fan, you can enable that, and that will automatically send out the G codes that will enable that in your print. We don't have that on here, so no big deal. But if you have a different printer that has that, you could see that there. So I think we're good there. We're going to save that. Yep. And it's already a user preset.
Once you choose one, talking about Orca versus Prusa, once you choose one, it'll become easier to navigate around. I was the same when I started.
Yeah.
And it says Orca will usually be behind with cutting edge slicer stuff, where Prusa Slicer will push the slicer with their development. Once it hits Prusa Slicer, it generally hits Orca Slicer.
Yeah. So the amount of polish that has gone into the slicers, and that's really all of them really, but mainly Prusa is, even if you're a few versions behind in Orca, there's so much polish to it. It works so good. You're really not missing much, unless Prusa comes out with something that's really, really revolutionary. It will eventually make its way over. And then one thing is that Orca Slicer was originally a fork of Bamboo Studio, and Bamboo Studio is a fork of Prusa. Well, now it seems that Orca Slicer has passed up Bamboo Studio in features, and then Bamboo is having to catch up by adding what has been put in Orca Slicer into their own thing. Kind of funny how that works, huh?
So Drew wants to know, with different bed types, have you figured out how to adjust your Z offsets automatically?
I've not messed with that just yet. I know for a textured surface, I like a closer first layer so it can kind of push that plastic into the surface. Because when it does probe, the tip of that probe can't reach into the little holes and divots. There might be a way. I might have to look into the G code if it says something about what surface that it's printing on. I might be able to figure out a way to add some sort of a parameter that says, hey, if this, then do that kind of deal. There's probably a way. I just haven't looked into it just yet. But keep reminding me, I'll work on it. And I know you'll keep reminding me. So we have our printer type. I've given it my custom little image here, which is very cool. Now, if you don't want to use my custom one, you want to use just what the stock one is, I will show you where to find that real quick. Under basic information, printable area, go to set, and then you can see here you could load a picture and an actual model for your build plate. And these are located under C drive, program files, find Orca Slicer. It's somewhere in here. Orca Slicer, resources, where is it?
Drew says, I know there are Clipper macros out there, but I can never figure them out. Macros are not my thing at all.
They're difficult. They can be.
Clipper macros were different bed types, he says.
Okay. I mean, I'll do some Googling on that. I believe it's in data. Nope, not. Where is it? Profiles. There it is. Profiles, and then you have your different pre-done profiles that they've added to it. So for you can find artillery, and then you could find here Sidewinder X1 build plate PNG, X2 build plate PNG, all that kind of stuff. So they're in that area if you want to use those, or if you want to use something different. You have an artillery printer and you want to have an anchor make picture, whatever you want. It's all there, and you could use it. So cancel, cancel, cancel. Here we are. So now we want to add a custom filament profile. So our next step is filament. It has our generic ones in here, and you could use those to start out with and kind of derive those if you want to. But I'm going to add a custom filament. So we're going to click on Add or Remove Filament. Custom filaments, create new. And this is our Creality HP Ultra PLA stuff. So vendor, Creality. And if the vendor isn't on there, you just click on Can't Find Vendor I Want, and you could just put in whatever you want, all right? So, but this is Creality PLA. Does it have HP PLA on the list? PLA, CF, CFG, blah, 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 blah. Nope. And we're going to call this Hyper, because it is Hyper PLA. You could do individual ones for whatever color you want. The sky's the limit on how you want to do this. I've tried 4 different colors of the Creality Hyper PLA, and I don't see any difference in the need for different retraction settings or anything for them. I know sometimes the pigment can affect it a little bit.
Drew would like you to go back and start from the beginning and explain to him how to do that on a Mac.
Okay, no. I don't have a Mac. Sorry, Drew.
He's just trolling you.
You should be smart enough to know the subtle differences.
Wow. Wow.
What?
Okay.
What?
Jeez. Drew's just coming in giving you a hard time. I took it over the top, and then you just like, wow. Ouch.
Oh, right.
Aaron says, Drew, get thee gone, heretic. The power of window compels thee. The power of Windows compels thee.
No. Windows 11 and Windows 10, they kind of suck.
Okay, but compared to Apple?
Okay. Objectively, Apple is better from a well, not really usability standpoint, but from a quality of software standpoint. Apple makes higher quality software for their OSs than Windows does. I can objectively say that.
Do anything with them.
You can't do anything with them. You're not allowed to do anything with them. And I just don't like using Apple products because most of the software that I use is made for Windows only.
You're judgy. Let's be honest, because you're judgy.
Mainly it's my CAD software that started out as Windows only, and it still is Windows only. My editing software can be done on a Mac and runs great on a Mac, but PCs have really, really stepped up as far as performance goes, and you can get just as good a performance out of a PC for doing editing as you can on a Mac. I mean, the big thing about like, oh, you should do Photoshop and editing on a Mac because they're just faster for that. They used to be, not anymore.
Drew says, boom, mic drop, and walks away.
Yeah, right. So we have our vendor, we have our type, we have whatever you want to call it, serial, color, type, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to call it Hyper because it's Hyper HP Ultra PLA. I'll just call it Hyper. And then add filament preset under this filament. So create based on current filament, and it gives you an option for a PLA that you already have in your list of available filaments for the printer you're working on.
So Richard says, I'm going to be putting Clipper on my X2 this afternoon. Is it truly faster than Marlin? I got an AXDL module this morning too. Drew says, tons. It's worth it.
So much faster.
Baron says, indeed.
Yeah.
Rich says, Rich just got a call that dinner's ready, so he's got to run. We'll watch the rest tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks for coming by, Rich.
Yep.
Have a good night.
For sure. Have fun. Eat good. Hopefully it's delicious. Dinner, right? Is what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Okay. So, you could tell it to pull information or base it on a filament that you already have attached to that printer, or if you have filament profiles on other printers that you could use to derive from, you can go that route. I'm just going to pick from the Artillery generic PLA and then pick what printer we want to add it to. We're going to add it to our Sidewinder X2 with our Clipper Sidewinder X2 with our 0.4 nozzle. And then we're going to click on Create. Filament created. Please go to filament settings to edit your presets if needed. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So click on our filament, and now it is there. If we go to a different printer, so say I go to my Clipper basic printer, it's not there. So this is something I struggled with and I couldn't figure out until Drew yelled at me, and is it 3 or 4 weeks ago on the stream? Yes, you can, click here. So I've spent some time messing with it, and now I'm showing the masses.
Let's be honest, Drew usually yells at me more than he yells at you.
Right. Well, So I looked through the Bamboo Studio wiki, and it's not there. There's no detailed information about this exact process in there. And then the Orca Slicer wiki is still in development. There's no information on it. So literally, I scoured the internet and I could not find a single bit of information on how to do this process. So I just spent the last few days uninstalling, reinstalling, and uninstalling and reinstalling and going through this to figure out how it works. And it's a little bit weird and convoluted, but it does work. So we're going to go back to the Artillery X2 here.
I don't know why, but you said scour the internet. That whole rant just made me feel like it was a weird, like Monty Python Spaceballs mashup. Like I don't know.
Comb the desert. Right. So we're going to click on our Creality PLA Hyper. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So from here you could edit, click edit, preset.
See, he thinks he needs me around to do these, but what he doesn't realize is if he actually didn't have me around, he'd get through things a lot faster and a lot better than with me around.
Be less interruptions and just jib-jabbing and ratchet John away. I kid. She's giving me that look.
I will get up and walk out right now.
I'm pretty sure I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. I kid. So, filament settings, right. So in filament settings, we could change some things like print temperatures, what build plate temperatures and stuff like that. So we're going to start on tab 1, filament, type, PLA, vendor. You could change all that if you want to. If it's a soluble material, if it's a support material, because you could do separate support material from your regular material. And if you tell it that, it knows how to change your support settings on its own for you, but this isn't a support We'll continue on. Flow ratio, 0.098 actually works pretty good on this machine for this, how I have it tuned, but I'm going to show you how to tune that. So I'm just going to go 1. Enable pressure advance, yes, and pressure advance that works for me on most PLAs is 0.036. So
Random.
I just spent some time tuning it on this, and it looks nice and clean. Recommended nozzle temp, 190 to 230. This really doesn't mean anything. I don't know why they have it in here. You'll never change this. Chamber temp, we have no chamber. Print temperature. You could change first layer and other layers print temperatures. This stuff really likes 220, works great, so I'm going to keep it there. Bed temperature, since we have multiple bed types, we can give it different temperatures for each one of those bed types. I don't have a cool plate. I don't have an engineering plate. That's a Bamboo thing. And there's some like secret voodoo, secret sauce magic with those. Especially the engineering plate. It works really good for ABS. It's amazing for ABS. Not great for PETG. The cool plate, you just don't need as much heat and it still sticks. Some different type of PEI that they're using. I don't know.
Would you say it's pretty neat?
It is pretty neat. So
No, nothing?
Right.
Wow.
I know. I use a smooth PEI plate and a textured PEI plate. So for the smooth one, 60 works just fine for first layer and other layers. For my textured one, 65 has been better. So if I'm printing on a textured surface, it knows to heat it up to 65 as opposed to just 60. Perfect. Volumetric speed limitation. So this is going to affect how fast you could actually print. 12 millimeters cubed per second is not very much. This is a 60 watt heater with a volcano nozzle. It should easily be able to do well above 20. So I'm just going to put, I don't know, 18, right? Just to give myself a buffer. I've not actually done a volumetric speed test on this, but I know it performs as good, if not a little better than your typical Revo, and a Revo will hit 18 to 20 no problem. So I'm just going to start there.
Drew, that's rough. And Drew says back to the Mac versus PC. I totally get what Matt said. I'm actually having to buy a new machine, which will be a PC. I too use lots of CAD/CAM software that are only available on PC.
Yep.
He loves his Mac, but back to PC versus having 3 computers. That's rough.
That is rough.
I never understood that. Same thing with phones too, like an Apple phone versus an Android phone. There's completely different apps there. Like you would think you'd want to cater to both sides. That way you're getting the full, your full consumership rather than just one versus the other.
Right. A lot of it depends on the software development and how they they will develop a piece of software that really plays well with a certain kind of microarchitecture. And so Mac and Windows use two different types of microarchitecture, and in the way the OS handles it, right? So basically, it's like making the software work on a different language, right? So if you've developed a piece of software that has been developed in Windows from the start, and then you have to transfer it over to Mac, you have to translate the computer language so the Mac knows what to do with it. And a lot of times that could wreak havoc on stability of the software. It can make the development of the software slow down. And because with CAD software, a lot of big money industry depends on that CAD software running fast, efficient, and stable. And so if you have a company that says, oh, I want to make this for Mac now, and then their development slows down, and then their releases aren't as stable because they have to compromise with some of the features and stuff like that, or Band-Aid fixes for the translation, then you're going to have a lot of unhappy customers. So that's kind of how that works. Now, there are some things like, Adobe products work great on both Windows and Mac. Well, work great as in quotes, right? Because Premiere Pro has been terrible for a lot of people. That's why so many people are switching over to DaVinci, but that's a whole other subject.
And that's a good point. Drew says PCs are generally easier to repair, replace components.
More
Macs are
open
not
source.
really meant to be repaired by normal people.
No.
Where in a PC, anyone can pull and replace an HDD.
Yeah, PC has always been more user-friendly for the end user in that aspect. So,
In most aspects, you can change settings, you can,
right.
Do things.
Right. In a Mac, it's like, oh, you want to change your background? Sorry. I know it's not. That's a little bit hyperbolic, but essentially, yeah.
I switched to an iPhone a while back, and it was frustrating. Just the things that you I lost control of that were like, why don't you have the option to use that, change that setting? That's so weird.
Right. So, and then the way, especially with an Android versus Apple, it's with an Android phone, you use your phone. With an Apple phone, the phone uses you. That's just how I see it.
I'm not going to go there.
Right.
I'm not going there.
All right, let's continue. So, filament tab figured out. Next tab, cooling. The main thing about this, we'll just leave this as it sits for the most part, but layer time, this can be a huge one. This can really affect your print speed. So it has it set default at 8 seconds. That is extremely slow. Even for the stock cooling, that is really slow. We're going to change it to 1 second. That 1 second is a little faster than the cooling on this thing can do, but we're going to put it there, and then we can tune up to however fast we want as we go, right? But the rest of it, keep all that. Next tab, setting override. So a lot of these settings are baked into the printer preset, but you could have overrides. So if you have TPU that has a longer retract or shorter retract or whatever, you could actually set these in here, right? So we're not going to mess with that. We'll leave those normal for now because the regular print settings are the printer profile or printer preset is kind of catered toward PLA. So we're going to leave it this way. Advanced, you could have separate start and end G code for different filament types if you want. This is coming right out of Prusa. If you've used Prusa, this is a thing. And actually, IdeaMaker has a similar thing. That's one of the reasons why I switched to IdeaMaker, because I was able to have separate pressure advance / linear advance for each filament, because it wasn't baked into a filament setting, right? Multi-material, again, leave this. This is just stock settings for the X2. You can tinker with it if you want. If you do a lot of multi-material stuff, I don't, so I just leave it. And then you could write some notes in here if you want to. So we're going to save that. Okay. And we are set. All right.
Get up there. Get up there.
Come on.
Do it. Do it.
Show the people how fluffy you are. We have a cat that is so fluffy. It's so fluffy.
I don't think she's a cat. I think she's just fluff. I think it's a
She's
self-aware
part
fluff.
Yeti.
It's just a clump of hair that's self-aware. That's
Right.
all it is.
She looks like a little Ewok, her face. And her
She
little paws.
does.
Looks like an Ewok. Come on. Come on. Whatever.
She was like, you want me up there? Forget you. I was going to go, but now that I know you want me,
Here, come fluff the machine. I'll have to clean it for hours. I would pick you up, but you'll freak out. Oh, okay. So she's going to sit on my feet. Oh, and here comes her brother, Jellyface. All right. The next step, process. it just comes with one standard process when you do a custom printer. Well, depending on what printer you derive it off of. You could do as many processes as you want. So this is going to have things, your layer height, thickness, your print settings for the most part. Bless you, honey. So the standard one has some settings in here. I actually don't really care for their preset line widths. I like to make my line widths even at 10% thicker than the nozzle width. That has been really good for me. So we're going to change a few of these things. So first layer height, I want to go 0.2. Line width, default, 0.44. First layer, 0.44, 0.44, 0.44, just all of these, 0.44. And you don't have to do this. You can go with defaults, or you could play with it as you wish. But in my experience, the 10% bigger than the nozzle width has been working for me. 0.44, and then it says internal solid infill. Let's see, this is set to 0, and I just leave it at 0. I think, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't really do much internal solid infill, so.
So committal there. So just like
This is a setting I don't remember ever changing, so we're just going to leave that because it really doesn't make a difference. I don't think it makes a difference on this one. So what does it say? It gives you little notes here. So I will. Disclaimer: I'm not a professional at this. I'm still learning myself.
Okay. An hour in, he gives you a disclaimer to let you know he's not a professional.
I'm still learning this myself.
So have you been following up until now?
But I do feel in my experience I have learned enough to be able to teach you all the basics to get you going. And this is all this is, the basics to get you going, right? So, but the nice thing is if you hover over something, it gives you what it is. Like line width of internal solid infill, if expressed as a percentage, it will be computed over the nozzle diameter. Oh, so you could just set this up to 110% on all this stuff if you wanted to, and it will be fine. Let's just make it all even across the board. Why not? It didn't give me a little.
So Drew says super affordable one-time purchase. They have Photoshop, Illustrator, Publisher clones, $225 Canadian dollars, and for all 3, and you get updates with the current versions for free. They offer a reduced price when you get the major update. And I have a version 1 for years before they went to version 2. I think Drew's got computers on his brain.
Yeah, he does. All right. You can play with seam position. One thing that I feel is missing is, if you want the seam to be automatically put on like the rear left of your print. This doesn't really have that. Aligned is just fine. You could actually customize where your seam goes, and we'll get into that here. It's really neat how you can do that. Awesome. Staggered inner seams, we don't really want to mess with that.
Oh, Baron had a Maine Coon, he says, passed away, and says it was all fluff.
Mm-hmm. Man, I remember my first time seeing a Maine Coon. We were at a friend's house, and there's just this giant hairy thing walked by. I'm like, what is that thing?
Oh, and it looked so angry. It had RBF so bad.
Big time, yeah. But he was a pretty kitty. He actually really liked me.
Oh, we're so sorry for hearing about your loss about your Maine Coon, Katie Barron. We lost my old lady. She was 16 going on 17. We lost her last winter, and
yeah,
you don't know how big of a effect they have on your lives until they're gone. And then all of a sudden it's just a space that's tough.
It leaves an empty spot in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
Drew says Adobe alternative. And Ray says that's what I was going to ask Drew. I was thinking Affinity.
Affinity, yeah. But GIMP is another one. A lot of people use GIMP because it's got essentially the same tools as Photoshop, just a little bit more annoying to use.
I know I missed it. I probably missed it somewhere. I probably missed something somewhere. Let's be honest.
Yes. Yes? Okay. So, seam, play with your position. Seam gap. This actually bakes in a little bit of a gap in the seam. So if you have a seam that bulges a lot, and your flow and all that stuff is already tuned good, you can increase your seam gap. Leave it at 10%. I've been pretty happy with it, but adjust at your leisure.
Baron says his Maine Coon was 18 pounds.
It's a big kitty. I wonder how big Bobo was, how heavy Bobo was.
He was heavy.
Yeah,
he was a big boy. But
yeah.
I don't think he was
18.
full Maine Coon size. Like he was close, but he wasn't full Maine Coon size.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big kitty. That's the
Right.
kind of cat where like you start playing with it and you have to worry about
Yeah.
about whether or not you're going to lose fingers today.
Yeah. You lose a limb with a cat like that. Right. Can play with your precision settings. Leave this as defaults, just fine unless you want to mess with it. No ironing. You can do ironing if you want. If you add ironing, all top surfaces, you can give it ironing settings. I just leave it with no ironing. Wall generator. So this is that thing we were talking about earlier, classic versus arcane. We just leave it at arcane. Like I think Drew has said, it does print a little faster. That is a thing. Where were we here? Where do we go? Oh, right here. Okay.
Drew says there is the arc fitting option, which I think you just did, maybe.
Arc?
Arc fitting?
Arcine?
ARC fitting option. That's what he was asking about earlier
arc
with the
fitting.
G2, G3.
Yes. Enable this to get a G-code file with G2 and G3 moves. The fitting tolerance is the same as the resolution. Yeah, you could enable that. I haven't really messed with it. I've never turned it on. But you can if you want.
You give them permission?
Yeah. I mean,
that's very kind.
I'm just showing you where everything's at, and you change it as you want. I'll just give you my recommendations for some of the settings, right? Leave arcane on, it's fine. And then all its settings, you could leave defaults, mess with them again at your leisure. Walls and surfaces. Printing order, you want to go inner to outer, leave it like that. Have your bridging settings, leave those. Overhangs, detect overhang walls. This slicer does a very good job with detecting overhang walls.
Ray says it's pronounced arachne.
Arachne.
From the Greek spider myth.
Sure. Arachne.
Sure.
Thank you.
And Baron says in precision settings. Drew says it helps with G-code fill size.
Probably line width. I think it's like line width and walls. If you have a wall thickness that's thinner than the line width, it could actually like calculate that. And there's some other secret sauce in it that is way over my head. I think there's some Orca Slicer release notes about it too. Again, overhangs, detect wall overhangs. You can leave that on. Some slicers really struggle with this. I know Idea Maker really struggled with the setting. It had it, but it was terrible.
Drew says makes them faster to upload.
Oh. Okay, cool. Didn't know that. Thank you, Drew.
You're sassy today.
I'm just feeling off. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm having an off day.
He's being sassy. He got started on his own, and now he's just pouting about how he had started on his own.
Whatever. I think I might be catching whatever they're catching. I know before
Right.
I get
Okay,
sick,
blame
I
it
get
on me
grumpy.
again. Okay, so
Not
it's my fault. I
blaming
was
it on
came
you.
in
I
late.
came from work.
It's my fault for getting you
Whatever.
sick.
Can we
Y'all hear
continue?
this? So sassy.
People come for an education, and they're just getting all this sass. I'm sorry.
From you, yeah.
From you. No, we apologize for the sass. I don't mean to be sassy and grumpy.
You do.
I'm just having an off day, but the show must go on, right? We must cater to the masses.
I feel like there's a lot of talk of food going on right now. Like your flavor is Clipper, or you had something or other earlier that, you know.
I mean, the only thing I've had to
And
eat
now you're
today was a
talking
few
about-
strips of bacon, so
Now
maybe
you're
I
talking
am
about
hungry.
catering.
Maybe I need a Snickers bar.
I think maybe I need you to start catering this event so that I can eat while I'm sitting here. Maybe I'll be less sassy if you provide food.
Oh man, some of that bread you made dipped in the marinara sauce. I mean, that wouldn't suck. She made this. She's been doing sourdough, and she made this sourdough with what seasoning was that you added to it? That was some Italian type of seasoning, and it made it so good.
Do you want the answer, or should I just sit here and watch you struggle?
It's, you watch me struggle all the time. So does it really make a difference?
It's McCormick bruschetta seasoning.
Bruschetta. Okay.
So good.
Yes.
Drew says G-code file size. Emily, G2, G3 makes the code and arc versus tons of small lines. Makes sense? Mm-hmm. No, not you, Drew. You're not being sassy. He's being sassy.
How about this? I will just enable. Well, no, I'm going to leave it because I don't think I have it enabled in my config yet. Or do I?
Baron,
don't
we
know.
love to give each other a hard time. Not family dynamics. We just give each other a hard time all the time.
Yeah.
I guess that
on?
is family dynamics,
Yes,
isn't
it's
it?
on. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Next tab, strength. strength settings, wall thicknesses and stuff like that. Defaults, wall loops, 4 is a lot. I use 2 for just normal stuff. Top shell, 3, bottom shell, 3. Monotonic is fine. Sparse infill density, just your infill, 15% is fine. I change it to cubic, or you can do gyro. Cubic works just fine as well. Advanced, all your overlap and stuff like that, you could leave these as default. They worked pretty good for me. So infill combination is kind of cool for speed. It will do basically infill every other layer, so it just doubles the thickness, which is cool. I typically don't leave that on because it can affect strength if you're doing functional stuff.
Drew says I think this is about the G code. It says if you don't, you will know the machine won't print at all. You get errors.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I'll have to look at my config and see. I've seen it somewhere. I just don't remember if I had it enabled or not.
Drew says infill comb is awesome.
Yeah, the infill combination. Yeah, it can be awesome for speed, but again, it can affect strength. Probably not to a large degree.
I imagine it depends on what you're trying to print. Are you trying to print like functional parts, or are you just printing
Knickknacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, some fun stuff to look at.
I know I get faster benchies when I enable it because it doesn't have to do an infill every layer. It's every other layer, so it saves infill for half the print. So, but it can affect if you are pushing your speeds and you have infill combination, your flow rates for your infill is going to be technically twice as much. And so if you're pushing the limits of your extruder flow, cubic millimeters per second with single layers, and you double that, well, then you're going to have problems. So.
Oh, poor Drew. He says, ask me how I know about the errors. It took way too long to figure out that was the issue. That's the worst.
Yeah. Okay. Next, speed. First layer, 45, 50, 60, whatever. It's fine. First layer infill, keep it the same as your first layer. I don't know why they need that slower. We'll change that. Actually, I think I've been doing my first layers at 60. I have all this stuff backed up somewhere, all my stuff backed up so I can go back. But I think 50, 60, you're fine. If your first layers aren't sticking as well, slow them down. Outer wall, 150. Inner wall, 200. Now, again, if you have not tuned your input shaping, I would not speed up do your outer and inner walls because it will rattle the machine to pieces.
Baron's got a run, says, with luck, he'll be back before the end of the show.
Okay, thank you, Baron.
Hopefully we'll see you before we gotta go.
For sure, good luck. Sparse infill.
And Drew's got a run too. He's got dinners ready.
Dang it, Drew. Everyone's got dinner ready. Except for me.
Because you didn't cater.
I didn't cater. All right. Change all our infill stuff to our max speed, or our inner wall speed, so 200. Internal solid fill, 200. Top surface, 150, because it is a finished. Anything, basically, finished surfaces, be it walls, top, you want to keep at your slower speed for quality. Right?
He got the dinner is ready text. He was in the shop cleaning up. Now he's got to go back to the family.
Nice. Gap infill, so if it's having to infill a lot of small gaps, sometimes it helps to have this to be a little slower, so I'm just going to put it at 150 and then support max 200.
Andrea says, hey folks,
What's
sorry
up,
it's been
Andrea?
a long time.
It has been. Welcome.
I have a lot of live streams to catch up on.
It's okay.
Andrea, sorry.
From Italy, right?
He says, including this one as it looks. I'm very late. Well, thank you. Better late than never. We're glad to see you. Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by. And I asked earlier, I don't know if you heard me, if everyone is on board with doing longer streams, doubling the length of our streams. It'll just be on. No, we talked about this. Don't act like you forgot.
Forgot.
Yeah, we talked about this. Like, you go pick up the little lady at 4, bring her on back, and we continue on for at least another 30, 40 minutes while she does.
Did you clear that with the boss?
With the boss? I'm pretty sure she'll be fine with it.
You didn't clear that with the boss.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, you want to hear sass?
Well, she gets some sass.
Find out how that's going to go when she finds out you didn't clear it first.
Right.
And Andrea says, yes, Italy.
Yes. I remembered.
Your mic is red. Is that normal?
Can y'all hear me? Testing 1, 2.
It's pumping. Try again.
Testing 1, 2.
Yeah, it looks like it's still going.
The top one.
The top one?
On your scale there is the top one.
They're side by side. They're both going.
Oh, they're side by side, aren't they? I forgot about that.
I think you're just really low battery.
Is the left side bumping more than the right side?
Oh, it's bumping.
Okay. I have to charge that thing.
Nothing, huh? Wow.
Bumping, yeah.
Nothing.
It should last another 20, 30, 40 minutes. We'll be fine. Overhang speed, leave those default. It does a pretty good job at that. Travel speed, man, crank it up. 500, it can do it now. Normal printing, yeah, sure, 500. Outer wall, that's 700 is a little fast.
Andrea wants to know, yes, they can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So typically I make my my accelerations kind of a multiple of 10 of my speeds. So outer wall, 1500. Inner wall, 2000. Again, if you've not tuned input shaping, don't speed these up. Bridge, sparse info, blah, 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 that is just fine. If you leave these at 0, let's see, why are these set to 0? Printing acceleration for the first layer using limited acceleration can improve build, plate adhesion, printer name, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so I don't know why these are set to 0. But like it said, slow down your acceleration for your first layer, obviously. 500, no, 2000 for our normal printing. First layer, we'll do 1000. Top surface, because it's a finished surface, we're going to do a little slower. Travel, 2000. And then excel to decel, 50%. That is just fine. Jerk, we don't have to worry about. Extrude smoothing rate, we don't have to mess with that. All right, support, this is just support settings. We're going to leave that off for now since I'm not going to print anything that needs supports, but this is how you do supports. You could do, say we'll enable supports, let's just mess with it. Different types of supports. You have normal and tree and it will automatically do it, or you could manually do supports. I don't really mess with manual supports all that much. This slicer does a good job at doing your supports automatically, and default settings, they just kind of work. Supports in this have been wonderful. So start with default settings and then kind of tune from there. Really isn't much to say about supports. If you do like material for support material, you want your interface layer to be 0. But again, if you set up a filament profile and set it as a support material, it will automatically do that for you. Kind of cool. We're going to leave that off for now. If anybody has any specific questions about support, please ask before we're done today, and I'll try to get to it. So I know there was somebody that was asking about tree supports, and I said that we would get into it if we could. So, but I don't know exactly what they want to know. Others, so there's a lot of cool stuff in others, especially brim and skirts and stuff like that. So if you print things that have a lot of square edges, those are things that will have a tendency to want to potato chip off your build plate or warp off the build plate just because of thermal retraction, right? As it cools off, it will get smaller, the plastic will, and sharp corners have the least amount of stick to the plate. And those will be the first ones to peel off. So instead of doing a full brim, which can be annoying to remove, you could do mouse ear. So I will show that here. Let's. I'm
surprised Disney's not coming for them for that.
Right. Well, it looks like mouse ears, right? And then you can give it a width, brim width. If you do a brim, say I like 5 to 10 millimeters, we'll just go 10, sure. Prime tower enable. If you do a multi-material, prime towers can help. Flush stuff, that's part of your multi-material stuff. I'm not going to mess with that. Slicing mode regular is fine. You don't need to do any other things. Print sequence. So if you do, you can do by layer or by object. So if you print a bunch of the same thing, or you have a bunch of objects in your build plate, you could do one at a time as long as they clear the extents of your extruder tool head thing. And then we set that in the printer settings, which is kind of cool if you do it that way. That can be fun. I've done some of that before. There's a time and a place for it. So we're going to stick to bilayer for now. You can enable base mode from here. Fuzzy skin if you want. It'll add a little bit of a texture to your skin, to the walls. It looks kind of nice. Advanced interlocking depth of a segment region. I've never messed with this. I don't really know what it does. So a big thing here, we want label objects enabled, and we want to have exclude objects enabled. You want to make sure that exclude objects is in your printer configuration also. And what this does is that, say you are printing multiple things and you're doing layer by layer or object by object, it doesn't matter, and you have one that is beginning to fail. And say it's this big, long, 8-hour, 20-hour print, whatever, right? You have a bunch of things in the build plate you're making, and one of them starts to fail, and it's halfway through the print. Well, typically, you're toast. You're done. The whole print's going to fail because that one is going to cause the whole thing to go off the rails, and you've wasted all that filament and time. With exclude objects, you can go in and like, oh, this one thing is failing. Click on it, say exclude. It will stop printing that one object that is failing and continue with the ones that are working properly. And I've actually had to do this before. At first, I was like, well, that just seems kind of silly. If they're all working, they should all stay working. But foot and mouth moment. Like, oh, I had one that was failing, so exclude, and it finished the rest of them. Didn't waste a whole bunch of time and material, and it worked really good. So, yes.
Andrew says, you may have already mentioned it. He remembers you using Idea Maker. Any particular reason or special feature why you're switching over to Orca?
Mainly because the industry is moving that way, and it's got some features and abilities that Idea Maker just doesn't have. Idea Maker is meant for their own industrial machines, and the fact that it is available to use on other machines is nice, but the development process of Idea Maker is really slow, and they're starting to kind of lag behind the bell curve. Plus, if you run a Clipper machine, this handles it so much better than Idea Maker. You could access your device's web interface from the slicer, so you don't have to go to a browser. You could print directly from here, which you could do, print directly from Idea Maker to your Clipper machine. But you couldn't access your web interface from it. And I'll show you, we'll get there. I'll show you that here as we move along through these tabs. So yes, exclude objects, ensure that, and label objects, ensure that. Especially if you're using CAMP, you have to have label objects enabled, otherwise CAMP won't work. So, but it defaults as having it on, but always good to double check. And then notes, you could write some notes here. So we're gonna save this, and we're gonna give it a new name because it is not gonna be our base standard. We're gonna call this 02 millimeter CREALI, Creality HPPLA. So we're gonna save that as our HPPLA from Creality. Click OK. Boom. Now we have that as a separate process.
Boom.
Boom. One thing I didn't show earlier in Printer, you have this little icon here, connection. This is how you set it up to communicate directly to your printer. So we'll click on connection, and it gives you your settings here. You want to make sure it's Octo Clipper, and you put in your host name or IP address. So this one, its host name is swx2.local. Click away, click test, connection to Octoprint works correctly. Okay, sometimes it doesn't like, depending on your network settings, it doesn't like having a host name. You just put in the IP address. And if you have, like with my Pad 7 here, I could have multiple printers connected to the same thing. You'll do a port number for whatever machine, and that gives you, you'd be like 4408 for machine 1, 4409 for machine 2, and so on and so forth. So, but since I only have one machine running off of this, currently we'll just do this. Click OK, done. Okay, so we've set it up to printer, we've set up a filament preset, and we've set up a process. So now we need to print something, right? So let's add something to the build plate. Up at the top here, this is our tools window. We're gonna click add. This is gonna look just like Orca Slicer, and we're gonna find a STL file. I've actually been using step files, and they've been great. Plus it saves if you have multi-body objects or save an assembly as a step file. It actually knows that they're different bodies. So if you have multiple color things, it makes it easier to paint colors. But we're gonna go to backup documents, and I have an XYZ cube in here. Calibration cube, open, boom, look at that. So say I don't want the seam to be where it wants to put the seam. So let's slice it real quick. You can see here, it's added our mouse ears to the corners so our corners don't warp off. On something this small, it's probably not necessary, but it's just showing off the feature. Kind of cool. Where it puts the seam on here is kind of weird, and it can affect how it looks. Like it looks weird. So what happens if I just want the seam to be along this back edge here? We can go back to prepare, and there is paint seam.
Jose says, unfortunately, if you have multiple instances, you can't access each one on Orca. Hopefully soon they'll make it where you can access each port.
I've had success doing that just fine on multiple instances. You just have to have the port in there correctly. So I think
you'll have to show how to do that.
I think with multiple instances, it doesn't like using a host name. It wants the IP address. So.
And Andy says, hi guys.
Hi Andy.
Orca is amazing, especially if someone uses Clipper/Octoprint. Also, all the features that it has makes it the best slicer out there.
Yeah. So I want that seam to be on that back edge. So up on the top here, you see seam painting. And it gives you brush size, section view, blah, 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 blah. I want this back corner to be my seam. Boom. And then we'll go back, slice, and there it is. It paints our seam on the corner. And you could do all sorts of stuff. Erase all painting. You could be like here, and then here, and then here, and then here. And it does what it can to put it where you paint it. Kind of cool. And if you have like on here it doesn't really matter, but if you have some model, there's very specific places you want the seam to like hide it or something like that. This is a really neat tool, and it's super easy to use. So we're gonna go back and put it in the corner. Erase painting. Boom. Back corner done. Slice plate. All right, and then we could scroll through the layers, and it shows us all the layers. Blah 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 blah. Good to go. I'm going to remove those mouse ears for now. Back to prepare. Others, mouse ear, just going to put no brim. If you have it on auto, it can automatically know, okay, I want to put a brim there, but it's not that great at knowing. I like to manually control those things anyway. No brim.
Andrew says by multiple instances, you mean multiple ports on the same host name?
Yes.
That should not be a problem, he says. Oh. So we'll see what Jose says.
Oh, it's potty time. Your mom is coming. Sorry, everyone. If you've all had children, you understand. It's just, mom is taking care of the kid. Okay, so no brim. Skirt loops, 3 is fine. I like my skirt to be a little further away, like 5 millimeters. Mainly that sometimes if there is a little bit of a blob that develops, if you have your skirt a little bit further away, it gives it more of a chance to fall off and not be stuck in where your print is, and you can get in there with a pair of tweezers and pull the blob out. But again, this is stuff you can mess with at your own leisure, whatever works for you. So we will go back, slice plate, boom. And it says this is going to take 11 minutes and 53 seconds. First, we want to get our filament loaded. It's just kind of chilling in there, so I don't have it loaded yet. So the nice thing is since we've connected the printer, we can go to the device tab here, and it brings up our web interface. Which is really, really cool. I like this. So I've installed this is main sale, but I'm just tinkering around with different themes, and on Big Tree Tech's GitHub, they have their own theme, and it looks kind of sharp. I like it, and I'll mess with it for a while. So on my dashboard, I want to load the filament. So filament load. Hey, so we can control our printer directly off the slicer without having to mess with opening up a browser. Kind of cool. It's not perfect though. If you want to download your printer config or your log file, it can't do it you can click as many times as you want. It cannot download that or download anything from the slicer. So if you want to download any of your configs or your Clipper log, you have to do that from a browser. So sorry everyone. But as far as like updating all that kind of stuff, you could edit, you can go in here and change all this, save and restart, all that kind of stuff. You can do that from in here. You just can't download these files from the slicer. That's the only limitation of it. So really not that big a deal. So we are heating up. We're gonna get this filament loaded up, and then we're gonna do a test print. So, yep, she stepped. On. All right.
How's that, y'all?
Check, check, check. Is it too loud?
Can you hear us?
It might sound weird because it's coming from the camera mic. Yeah, levels look fine. All right, sorry about that, everyone. Let us know if you can hear us and if it sounds okay. So, technical difficulties. So we've loaded our filament. We're just going to continue on
Do you
here.
want to wait until see if they can hear us before you just
Sure.
decide to blaze ahead?
Let's wait.
All
Sorry.
right, now we're back. Perfect. Thank you, Andrea.
Okay. Hopefully it sounds
Thanks,
okay. Oh boy. We should probably just keep that as a backup, huh? Or I could charge my microphones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or you could charge the microphones once in a
Charge them in
while.
a while. Yeah, in a minute. Okay, so
Jose says better than nothing.
Yeah. Again, whatever. We'll be fine. Okay. Back to here. We can click on. We've sliced it. We're good to go. It's going to take 11, 12 minutes. Perfect time. Print. Gives it a name. Click on upload or upload and print, or can just export if you wanted to go that route. But if we're in Marlin, I guess. So we're just going to click on upload and print. It should, boom, push it over.
Let's move you over here. No. I had you in the way.
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead, carry on.
Back to device, and it shows it, hey, we're here, and it started the print. It says file opened, XYZ calibration cube, blah, 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 file selected, done. So it's doing its heat up stages, all that fun stuff. So that is amazing from the slicer that we can do this.
Andy says, wow, what a difference in sound quality. Whatever you spent on your mics, totally worth it.
Yes, I am a huge fan of the DJI wireless microphones. They are amazing. The batteries last pretty long if you charge them.
Have you ever charged them, or is this the original charge?
I've charged them, when did I get these?
Christmas? 2 years?
2 years.
Not this Christmas, the Christmas before, I think?
Yeah. So a year and 3
Or
months.
was it your birthday that year?
Might have been my birthday. We've had these things for
A year to a year and a half.
a year to a year and a half. I've charged them 3 to 4 times.
You might want to consider charging them a little more often.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's got there's a case that they go into that has a battery in it, so that's how they charge. So
Maybe like every, I don't know, 3 or 4. I don't know. Maybe quarterly. Not a bad idea.
yeah, maybe.
Where's the case?
It's right here. I'm not throwing it. It's expensive.
I know. I bought it for you.
Yeah.
Does it matter which one goes on which side?
That one goes on the left. Full grown adult human. And she still struggles with her left and right. This is great. Hey! And we're going. And since it already homed, I have it set up in my config. Since it already homed, I have a smart home thing where it's like, oh, I've been homed already. I'm just going to get started so I don't have to waste my time homing again.
It's now on recording that you called me an adult human. So you called me an adult and a human.
That's questionable. Right. So the smart home feature is kind of a neat thing to have. I have it in my deal. So my brain freeze. My Clipper configurations, I have a download link for it in the video description, and I actually moved it all over to GitHub. I've slowly figured out how to use GitHub, and it's once you figure it out, it's a lot easier than just having a Google Drive, because the Google Drive is it works, but it's hard to update things. So they've updated it, and they've changed it. Like last year, it was super easy to do versionary updates on your stuff that you share, and then they've changed it, and I can't find that feature in there. It's really frustrating.
Are you all able to hear him okay, or does he need to talk a little louder? I mean, if you're going off the mic here, it's no
That's
longer
true.
right here.
Well, the microphone's, it's facing kind of upward on that camera.
Andrew says, congrats on figuring out GitHub.
Right. And there's still, I've barely scratched the surface. So if any of you are really good at GitHub, contact me. I need help. Yes. So we'll get this test print underway. I guess next week
We'll have fully charged mics.
We'll have fully charged mics. Hopefully I'll have more stuff moved over to GitHub and more organized in that aspect.
DC says it sounds good.
Awesome, thank you. I would surely hope it sounds good. It was not a cheap camera. Yeah, this girl, she found a smoking deal on this camera.
Andrea says, sounds pretty good to me, although a bit noisy now that the fan is running.
Yeah, sorry.
And Jose says, sounds good, levels are good too.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so as this prints, we just chit-chat away. It'll be about 10 minutes, and we'll see how our first test print runs, all of our custom profile stuff.
So, apparently, the X3, X4 is having ribbon cable issues.
I believe that was an X3. Yeah, so someone posted on the artillery Facebook group their ribbon cable melted where it connects to the tool head. Yeah, so typical in artillery fashion, that is the one thing. That's their kryptonite, is that ribbon cable. Yeah, so it's not the X4 because the X4 doesn't use it. They were smart about that. Yeah. But on the X3, yeah. And judging by the breakout board, yeah, it's something I could probably make. It is a little bit more complicated. It's got more stuff on it, but I could probably reverse engineer it. So I might have to add to the list an X3 to the list of wanted accessories. Luckily, the X3 Pro, the small one, is only like $300 or something. It's not that expensive. So, and the price is gonna come down on it.
Stream Emmy says, NGL, your production and quality for both video and audio usually is really good.
Thank you.
Andy says, don't you have any issues with your extruder pulling filament when it's like that?
No, I've not had any issues with this at all. I know I gotta finish and make a little guide and stuff like that, but so far no issues. If you have your tensions and stuff like that correct, you'll be all right. So. Away it goes. Yep. Awkward silence. Watching a printer print. I didn't set up camera 2, 1, whatever. I didn't set up printer camera.
I noticed.
Yeah. Just figured it wasn't really that necessary. I mean, I could plug it in real quick, but is it really worth it for 5 minutes of video? Yeah. Suppose if I was using TPU or really stretchy filament, it may not like this, but this and PETG, yeah, no problem. What is going on over there?
Oh.
Is she throwing stuff again?
Jose says, with audio cutting out, did you explain how to access multiple printers on the BTT P7? I can send prints to them. But the device tab shows an error.
Interesting. I did not explain that. That's something I could mess with. I don't have it set up for multiple printers at the moment, but I guess write this down. Do a stream about multiple printers on the Pad 7. Cover it. If that's something you all would want to watch, we could do a stream about that, because then I could just connect the Hornet and one day I'll get the Sidewinder X1 going. Maybe I could connect that up to it. That has a big TrueTech Pi in it, so it's a standalone install. So, but between this and the Hornet, I could do that. Wouldn't be that hard. So.
I'm not sure. I'm wondering if this is the X2, but Andy says, are you planning on putting linear rails on your X?
Axis.
Not sure. Maybe.
Maybe.
I've just done that yesterday. It works great.
Yeah. I did it on the Hornet, and it's cool. You can hear the bearings, and it's kind of fun. I know a bigger priority will be the Z-axis on this, because again, the quality assurance has been a little bit dismal, and it is narrower at the top than it is at the bottom. So if I print anything beyond like here, the wheels on this will get loose and the thing will start to rock. So I would have to change the plastic piece and get an actual piece of extrusion, which I have, and cut it to the exact width that it is at the bottom, and install it, and then install the rails, and it would be a much more accurate machine at that point.
I wonder where you could find a piece of plastic.
A piece of plastic?
Yeah.
Like that? I don't know. For rigidity strength. For the rigidity, I'd want to go with the rail. Kind of like on that, right? But I can't use that because that one's narrower at the top as well. Go figure.
Yeah, you keep buying them.
But I can fix them. Oh yeah, we're over extruding. Just a hair because I set the extrusion ratio to 1. But that's okay. Next week I will show, I think next week's stream is with filaments, and we'll go over some calibration steps. How to calibrate a new filament. hopefully what I've covered today is will help you get started with it. That was the whole point, getting started guide. I can never cover as much as I want to, and I feel like I leave people kind of hanging, and I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. Man, I'm actually sorry. You had that old PG in there. It's kind of fun.
The cat or the vacuum are going to eat that.
Oh, or the kid's going to get to it. 67% done.
Christian says he also has that same problem, 1 millimeter shorter at the top.
Yep, it's about that. So, one thing I did notice is I don't think I selected the right build surface. No, I haven't set the smooth. I should have set that to texture, but for this it doesn't make a difference. That is one thing. If you do multiple build plates, it's an easy one to forget to change because it doesn't give you any kind of error, and it doesn't know. It's not like the bamboo printers where it has a little QR code that it scans. So.
This is why I don't let them see your screen.
Huh?
What y'all don't see is him like scrolling in and out, and like dragging and like just terrible, just terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, future upgrades, linear rails on the X and Z axes. That could be fun.
Ray says if it helps, the filament sample is 20 grams-ish.
20 grams? Is that enough to do a benchy?
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if that's going to be enough. We'll do the best we can. We can at least get flow tuned and pressure advance, which I imagine is going to be nearly identical to this PLAs. It depends on your pressure advance is going to be affected by the viscosity of the melted plastic in the nozzle. So some plastics have a different viscosity. So PLAs are all going to be pretty similar, where your TPUs, PTGs, ABS, whatever, are going to have different viscosities, and that's where you're going to change your pressure advance. So.
Baron's back. You missed the fun, Baron.
What's up, Baron?
Lost all sound.
Yep, sorry about the sound quality. Our microphones, the battery's on them quick because I haven't charged them because I'm a derelict.
Baron says back. I can send a pic of the wheel and support that snaps on the blue top rail. It's on thingy, but I didn't bookmark the page /marker.
That would be great. I could put that in the description or something. Eventually I'm going to design my own for it. But yeah, do that for others.
Please.
Please. Thank you.
Jose says it's crazy how long it takes Kira to slice it, but it still lacks the detail Orca slices, and Orca slices much faster.
Yep. Yeah, again, as Kira updated, the more every new update, it seems like the quality got worse and worse and worse. So that's kind of when I went. I noticed that, and I tried Orca Slicer, and my X1 didn't play well with Orca Slicer for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure now I could probably figure out what was going on. Back then I struggled. I'm still struggling, so maybe I won't figure it out. I don't know. But then I went to Idea Maker and all as well. So. And I used Idea Maker for years until I started using this. And I was kind of forced into this because we got a Bamboo lab at work, and it's just easier to use Bamboo Studio or this or Orca Slicer. And so using it at work, I just got used to it and started using it on my own stuff and realized, hey, this is pretty good. So
Baron sent the pic through Discord and asked, did you get to cover support, or is that part 2?
We did not cover supports, nothing specific. So I asked, I guess you were gone when I asked this, if there's anything specific about supports that you want to know. We'll probably have to get into that either, or we have 5 or 10 minutes or so, we can get into that a little bit. Or mess with it in part 2 or part 3 or whatever.
Andy says his girlfriend was disappointed.
Okay. I don't know if that was supposed to go to us or...
It helps if I read it in order, don't I, Andy? Okay. Alright. I can read in order. We got this.
You can't.
Andy says, I see that someone else is a fan of the BT2 with all the duckies on top of the X2. I have just had 2 7-inch HDMI screens from
Ooh.
Tree Tech delivered, hoping for some more duckies. Unfortunately, they weren't in the box. My girlfriend was disappointed.
Okay.
That, in context, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Out of context, it's a little weird.
Yes, Baron, she still uses a night light. Actually, the weirdest thing, she never did until she hit 4.
Yeah.
When she turned 4, it was like, I need a night light. Like, she wanted it dark up until 4.
Yeah.
4 years old, bam, I want a night light.
I don't know what that's about.
Andy, I steal all of Matt's ducks usually.
Yeah.
I don't know how he reserved 4 of them. I'm a little disappointed myself.
I put them below your eye level, only where I could reach them. It's funny, so...
Oh, Ray's got to go. He says, unfortunately, I'm headed out, but hope you all take care. Thank you for dropping by, Ray. Thank you. It was good to see ya.
That actually doesn't look half bad. Just a slight smidgen of over extrusion, but really not that bad. And our seam is super good. So, a super. It finished and it took 16 minutes. So, I don't know, what did it say, 12? I don't know if it counts heat up time and all that. It probably counts heat up time and stuff. So, but yeah, that looks good. It printed.
Oh, sounds like Baron sent us a care package.
Oh, he had asked for our address. I forgot about that.
He says, wait till you get the care package,
Thank you,
big
Baron.
evil grin. I don't know if I'm excited to see what kind of crazy stuff he's packed in there, or if I'm scared.
Well, I mean, I gave him our P.O. Box number, so that's for the post office to deal with.
Are you going to check the P.O. box?
I will check the P.O. Box.
When?
Tomorrow, because I got to take some orders to the post office.
As you could tell, Baron, you may want to give him a tracking number.
Yeah. Oh, I did not. So there is elephant foot compensation in here somewhere. Are we on screen view? I will show you something cool, everyone. There's a search feature. Search in preset.
And thank you, Baron, for sending us a care package. That was really kind of you. Even if it's full of mischievous things.
Mischievous. Well, they just did Mardi Gras, right? So it could be some Mardi Gras stuff.
So don't open it around
Children.
the child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. As long as we're prepared and not on camera, right?
Right.
Andrew says the Sidewinder X2 is fast.
Yep, with the clipper and the input shaping, yeah, it scoots. It chooches, as they say in some parts of Canada. There's a YouTuber, he's from BC. He says things like that. He's funny. So another thing I forgot to enable was elephant foot compensation, and it has it. It's under precision. So if you can't find a setting, there is a little search thing, and it will find it for you, right? And it'll take you to it. Right here, elephant foot compensation. So probably 0.5 millimeter or so I would do, because it's a little bit of elephant foot on there, but no big deal. One thing I noticed about the Sidewinder printers is that even when I have a perfect first layer, it will still elephant foot. If I get the first layer to the point where I don't have elephant foot, it doesn't stick well enough. So elephant foot compensation is amazing.
Extreme Emmy says skookum chooker.
A skookum choocher. Yep.
Choocher. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That dude is funny.
He says an AV fan, I see.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's funny. He's more of sometimes I refer to him as the angry Canadian, because he gets kind of angry in his videos. He's funny though.
Do you know him enough to be razzing him on live YouTube?
Does it matter?
I know a little.
I mean, I've never watched him live, but I've commented about him and called him an angry Canadian, and people know exactly what I'm talking about. And no one cares, okay? So, in the tool community, they're typically composed of people that are relatively thick skin, and they could take a little bit of razzing.
Just saying. Baron says the box isn't posted yet. He's trying for tomorrow.
Oh, that's fine.
It will be safe in that respect, just stuff that actually gets thrown off the floats. And be afraid, and be very afraid.
Right.
I've never been to Mardi Gras before, but I'm a little afraid. Like, legitimately afraid.
I don't know. I've never been either. I've experienced Carnival in the Caribbean.
Ooh. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was more of a the locals liked it more than anybody else. So, plus we had work to do. We had engine changes during Carnival.
Oh, you didn't actually work.
We did.
No.
That was the frustrating part about that trip. Like, yeah, the Caribbean was nice and all, but we worked.
It is 5 o'clock
Is it
somewhere. And the somewhere that it is 5 o'clock is here.
Right. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Aaron says, my job is done.
That was a strange. Was that the vacuum?
That was the vacuum.
Anyway, I didn't like being paused right when it got started.
It's been making some weird
All
sounds.
right. Oh, I guess you can't really see this, but it turned out actually pretty dang nice.
Well, now that second camera view would have been worthwhile, wouldn't it?
I'll just hold it in front of the lens. Let's see. Let's see, everyone.
Oh.
Let's see if it focuses.
No. No.
Focus. Focus. No. It can focus. Come on. Come on. Ah, here we go. We're going to do this number. Ha-ha. Winner, winner.
You know, last time I did that, you got mad at me for it.
Well,
whoa. No.
We've hit the limit. All right, there we go. So, yeah. Not bad. A little over extrusion. You can see the lines a little bit. But no ghosting or ringing to speak of. So, top looks nice. Yeah. And that's that.
Too far. Too far.
There we go. Okay. Oh man, this show, today's show. Sorry everyone.
Pretty sure this month. You know what? We'll just say this year.
This year, so far this year,
It's been a stinking disaster this year.
It has been. But that is that. That is your getting started guide live stream. Hopefully, I covered
Getting
what we
started
wanted.
to disaster.
Yeah.
Did you cover?
Well, I asked him
sports?
specifically what he wants to know.
Wow. You just call him out like that?
And I did because I've asked him. I believe I've asked him twice now.
Whoa. Sorry, you better answer him before he starts like.
Is there anything specific, Baron, that you want to know about supports? I think you had said something about tree supports in the Discord. We can talk about it. In fact, there is a model.
Baron says no disaster this year / this show.
Go.
DC says thanks, you did great.
Thank you. Bear. Look. Ha-ha!
Oh, here.
This requires lots of tree supports. And the bottom is kind of weird.
You don't
We'll
see
show off
bare
some-
butt.
Bare butt. Bare butt.
Put your bare butt away.
Right, so the bottom of this isn't flat. And so it's going to want to print above. So you can do really cool things like... Where did that go? I know it's here somewhere. Click on it. Where'd it go? Oh, come on. Some of you... I was messing with it yesterday. Move current plate. Oh. Land flat. Yep. Scale. Rotate. Hey. I was messing with it earlier. Split. Here we go. Split two objects.
I'm
What?
about to split.
What? Where is that setting?
To the left. Box with auto.
Well, the support thing? Yeah. I'm talking about actually like cutting the bottom off of this so it says file. We'll mess with that later. Okay.
That was from Extreme Emmy, by the way. Richard said, out of interest, how did you get the end cap off the x-axis? I have taken all the screws out, but it's stuck fast.
Oh, a little blue thing? You just rip it off. It's just friction that holds it. And I took the end cap off because it rubbed. Something rubbed. I think it was a fan that rubbed on the edge of it. Oop. So anything that was on this side would have a weird layer shift because the edge of the fan rubbed on the end cap. So, yeah. I don't know why I cannot find this now. Is it in prepare? No. Variable layer height is kind of fun. I'm not really messing with it though. Go away. Go away. Assembly view.
I'm back. Sorry.
Cut. Here we go.
Just over here trying to.
I don't know why I had a hard time finding that.
Ooh,
So,
I want one in that color scheme. I like that.
right. So you could drag what I am saying that I want the cut position to be 1 millimeter up. Look at that. And then...
Baron says, I've changed something and don't remember what I had originally.
Oh, okay.
Underside the stepper support looks really bad. Lots of small dots that look like, or that don't like to release easy.
Oh, okay. There should be...
He says he's going to send the settings over Discord.
Yeah, do that, and I'll help you figure it out tonight, this afternoon. So, or you can look through here. I have all my support settings. I'll scroll. You can screenshot. There. All right. We're going to after cut, keep upper part, and place on cut. We don't want to keep the lower part. Boom. And now it's sitting nice and flat, so you're not going to have any issues. So, boom. And then if we want to add tree supports, this is something that needs tree supports. Actually, if you slice it without support, it warns you. This is kind of cool.
Here, let's,
Not to have support enabled. No, we don't want that kind of support. Take supports off slice plate. Warning, it seems object bare low poly has floating regions, and it will show you those floating regions. Everything in blue, like, hey, that needs to be supported because that's not going to look good. So you come over here. Tree supports is much better for this. Slice plate. Do I have that bare around here?
yeah, hang on a second.
I printed this yesterday.
Hang on a second, I'll throw it at you.
She's going to throw a bear at me.
You know what? Sometimes you're a bit of a bear, so...
Mm-hmm. Oh, there it is.
Alright,
Or you
where do
can
I go
show
the better, right?
Right.
Ready? Ready?
Don't do that. Don't threaten me like that.
I didn't threaten you.
The bear! So this is with tree support. So we're going to do the after show camera zoom in trick. You can see where it puts the tree supports. It does a pretty good job at figuring out where they need to go. You don't have to paint them or nothing like that. So I know it's going to be hard to see here. And that's how it turned out. Can I zoom in again? Zoom. There we go. Use the zoom ring.
I like that you zoom in instead of bringing it closer.
Well, if I bring it closer at that optical length, it will be blurry.
Like Shami says, I like the 3D painting function of adding and removing supports in Orca.
Yes. So it was supported under the chin here. It's kind of hard to see. And all up under here. And you can see some of it. But for the most part, it's super clean. Like it supported all the fingers and none of them broke off. Right. Now, gotta give credit where credit is due. This was printed on the Creality K1. I didn't do this on the Sidewinder, but a lot of the goodness of it not breaking the fingers off and stuff like that is because the support settings default are great.
She's gonna eat all that plastic.
Bagheera, no.
Eat your plastic.
No plastic.
Told you.
Hey.
Told
hey,
you.
Hey.
Either the vacuum or the cat.
Hey. No.
She's so mad. Look at that face.
So mad. All right,
How
we'll zoom
dare
back
you.
to where we were. There. Okay. Yeah. So.
Okay.
So it does a great job with default support settings. So. Really no need to change them in my opinion, unless you have some very special circumstance where you have some glaring thing. But for the most part, the support settings are fine. Even on like the straight flat surfaces, it does a great job. So. But I think that is that for this week. Anything else we need to cover? Anybody? Anything else I missed?
We might make like a tree.
Get out of here. That water's good, thank you. Your imposter said no. Someone was imposturing as you. Said I couldn't have water. So.
Figure if I couldn't give you live trouble, I'd give you not texting and driving trouble.
Right.
It's not considered texting. It's commenting.
Yeah. Well, it's good
So,
that your car
there you
has
go.
Android Auto and voice control. So, but I think
Semi-smart car.
it's a semi-smart car. Hey, it's got turbo boost. That's all you need in life is turbo boost.
I know. That's why I got the one with turbo boost.
Right?
Obviously.
And it's still a total mommy mobile. It's incognito.
That's because it never goes faster than like 30 miles an hour.
Honestly, the 30,000 miles you put on it are a hard 30,000 miles. Considering those are 1 mile at a time.
Every mile that you put on your car is 1 mile at a time.
Right. But my vehicle, my truck, has 3 times the mileage, and I would say half of the amount of starts.
Okay. And?
You know, we're still live right now.
I know.
I know. The people are just like probably logging off. Like this is
Yeah,
just,
we just tanking.
Just-
Just tanking. McMillan Farm says, great topic, got in late, but watching from the beginning. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, McMullen Farms. Thanks for joining. No, they're not the local ones. I asked.
Okay. Jose says, thank y'all for live streaming. Enjoyed it as always, even the replays when I missed them.
Thank you, Jose. I'm glad you came along. Glad you like to watch the replays.
And Extra Enemy says, thank you, great job.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming by and being patient with our absolute train wreck.
Craziness. Total craziness.
Craziness.
Unfortunately, we didn't have any bouncy dinosaur.
No bouncy
today.
dinosaur that she wanted to watch TV last week. If you want to watch a 4-year-old get
Bucked off a Triceratops.
It
A
was-
wild rodeo back there. You guys didn't even have to pay to see the rodeo. It was great.
My goodness, I went back and watched that. That was so funny. Holy cow. That was hilarious. But I think we're going to call it here. Thank you everybody for watching and joining in and chatting. If you came in late, we appreciate it. If you had to leave early, no big deal. We appreciate you coming by anyway. If this is your first time here, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we do this every week as best as we can, and it's always somewhat of a train wreck, and it's always an entertaining show. And we know we know you all come for my producer wife, not necessarily me, or you come to laugh at me because they're all gonna laugh at you.
That one. They all come to laugh at you, not for me. They come to laugh at you. Jose says, the orange filament guide behind you, is it compatible with the X2?
No, it only fits on the.
I imagine, hey,
extrusion.
because you don't have your mic on, I
Yes.
imagine when you're talking that way, it's going to be hard to hear.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
No, that is not compatible with the X2. The filament holder lever thing would work just fine on it, although I designed another one. It's nearly identical. And this was a couple live streams ago I did that. But
you will be making another one now that you've got...
yes, I will be making one that is compatible for the Sideliner X2 and subsequently the Genius Pro. So that is on the list. Don't know if I'm going to do that in a stream or not. Some people like the SolidWorks stuff, some people don't. It seems like when I have a poll and SolidWorks is on there, it performs the least. Okay, we'll be done in just a second, kiddo. Yeah. So I will get working on that. It shouldn't be too difficult to do. You want to say goodbye to the
Oh,
people?
she's got bacon face, by the way.
Bacon, you had bacon. Oh, bacon sounds good. Say bye, people.
Bye-bye.
And on that note, yes. Thank you everyone for stopping by. Happy 3D printing, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye. Is that your bear?
Where's the lines?
It's that good.